Did you know how big your dad was?
No.
As a dad?
No.
Really?
And
no.
when did you learn how
Great
big
question,
he was?
Chris. I didn't learn it.
That's
until
what I want to know.
I was a sophomore in college. No, let me tell you, it's really cool that you asked that because it was just like he was just dad.
Hello and welcome to Drop the Disc podcast. I am recording this message right now from a Marriott Suite in Charleston, celebrating Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of you that are listening. This week's episode, we are talking to Deanna Brown, the goddaughter of Soul, about her relationship with her father and his impact of the city of Augusta.
I saw my name. I saw me and my brothers and sisters' names in this encyclopedia. So I'm looking in the encyclopedia and I'm reading it. And I'm like starting to look around like, do they know who I am?
That's crazy.
Really? Like,
Wow.
I'm like, do they know who I am? Yeah, heck yeah, they know who you are.
Right.
This episode was recorded Monday, June 15th at Augusta Podcast Studio.
Hey guys, welcome to Drop the Disc. This episode, just like every episode, is presented by our presenting sponsor, Nancy Powell of Powell & Associates Real Estate.
Yeah. So, real quick, David, Nancy is a real estate broker.
She is the best real estate broker, and not only is she a real estate broker, she is my real estate broker, Chris, and she's also your real estate broker.
She is my broker.
She negotiated on our behalf. She helped us get stuff done at the last second. She advised us throughout the process.
And I'll add to that. She sold us our home, and we've had some issues with our home already. And she has been a point of contact with some warranties that we've been dealing with. So she not only closes the deal, she's also your friend when things happen as an homeowner.
You mean you sign on the line and she'll still answer your calls afterwards?
She will.
That's incredible.
And I want you to know that at home.
And if any of you are in real estate at all, whether you're buying your house, whether you're selling your house, whether you're buying investment property, selling investment property, I think you get the picture. Nancy Powell at Downtown Augusta Broker or Nancy Powell 1977 at gmail.com.
Look no further.
Apparently we're starting this podcast.
Let's go ahead
very
and
excited.
let's just jump into it.
We are.
You know, we're Drop the Disc podcast, and we're here with a very special guest.
That's right.
Super excited to introduce you. You are.
And tell us
Deanna Brown Thomas, one of the daughters of the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown, the late Mr. James Brown, president of the James Brown Family Foundation.
I love it.
So, what does the daughter of the Godfather what does that make you?
Owner of Deshaun Seafood and More in North Augusta.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There's a
Another
longer
business.
list. I love this.
This is great. What were you asking?
No. So I was just interested, like, if you're looking at a family tree, like, there's Godfather. Like, how does daughter fall into Godfather? Where are you on that?
Godfather of Soul.
I'm just one of the daughters of the godfather of soul. I don't. My IG handle is James Brown Girl, so we can go with
Yeah.
By the way, great handle.
Easy to
Great
find.
handle.
Right. So I'm
James Brown Girl.
assuming you were born in Augusta, Georgia.
No, I wasn't.
Whoa.
My sister
Whoa.
was. My sister, Dr. Yama Brown, she's
Okay.
a doctor of pharmacy. She lives in Atlanta now, but she was actually born in what is now Trinity, that used to be St. Joseph.
Okay.
When she was born there.
Right off what? Wrightsboro Road? Wrightsboro Road?
She
Okay.
was it's now, it used to be Trinity. It's now AU.
That's
Right,
yeah, that's
it
right.
is.
But before that, it was St. Joseph's.
So where were
And
you born?
I was born in New York, in Queens, New York.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I was born in when my dad had a home there in Queens.
Okay.
And were you raised in Queens as well?
Well, no, I was born there, and probably almost at a year, my mom, decided that she wanted to raise children down south, so she talked Dad into moving back down to where he was from. And so we moved and we lived on Walton Way.
Okay.
And people, older people listening will remember back in the day, back in the 70s, Dad used to always have Christmas decorations out. And he would get them from Fat Man's, from the actual Mr. whatever his name is.
Mr.
Usher,
Fat Man. Yeah, Mr. Usher.
It was an ushery,
the
yes.
actual man who actually started it would be Red's, I guess, father.
Yeah.
So he would have these props out there during Christmas, and people would line their cars up Walton Way, and they'd
That's
go.
incredible.
And when he was there, he'd give kids dollars,
Yeah.
and candy and stuff like that. And I remember seeing this one woman. It was really funny to me, but it was kind of cool because it kind of shown that the things that my dad was about. She was like in her 50s. She was a white woman, and she says, "I came to your house when I was young, and it was Christmas time, and that was the first time I ever saw a black Santa Claus." I said, "All right, girl." She was like, "It was interesting to a young little white girl." I said, "Well, I'm sure it was."
That's
and
funny.
you saw it at James Brown's house.
That's
So
great.
she will always remember that. But it was just so amazing. We were the first African American family to live on the hill, as you know. That's
Wow.
what it would be called.
That's big.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, growing up with James Brown is this huge thing that we do not even have enough time to, I'm sure, ask you all the questions so you could answer. What in that light, though, with all that exposure, people lining up for your house, you having these beautiful, and this great reputation, I assume. You grew up in Augusta for the most part.
Yes, we grew up in Augusta when my mother and
What
father
school did you go
separated.
to?
I went to Augusta Christian.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
Well, my first
That's
I went,
awesome.
First I went to Big Pine, which
Okay.
was I went there.
Yeah.
And then after Big Pine, I went to Augusta Christian.
Okay.
So
my
we
mother
are
and father-
rivals.
We are.
I went to Westminster.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're
okay.
rivals.
We're rivals too. We're rivals.
That's hilarious.
So growing up in that situation, like, what is it that you wanted to do when you grew up? Like, were you like, hey, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna run this huge charity and I'm gonna be a personality on the radio? What is it that you were looking to do?
I mean, come on. I was a little girl.
Right. Tell us what
Right?
you wanted to do.
I wanted to be a stewardess on a flight.
Really?
Yeah.
You wanted to travel the
Okay.
world.
Yeah.
I wanted to travel,
absolutely.
but I wanted to be a stewardess doing it because I felt like that's my way of traveling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't blame you. I that's how
Free
I can
flights.
travel.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like, okay, I was like, I can be one of these nice, pretty ladies walking around here,
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
traveling around the world.
Okay.
So as a young girl, that's kind of like the first little thing, that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And it was kind of funny because as I got older in my teenage years, it's like, I don't know what kind of came over to me, to be honest with you. I don't know if it was because I did travel with Dad sometimes and kind of saw him do his kind of charitable work.
So you would go to, like, if he was doing like a tour, like, would
Sometimes
you be?
I would be on tour with
you
him.
would be
Yeah.
potentially on that tour.
Yeah, sometimes I'd be on tour with him.
Is there a place that you can remember that you're like, my goodness, this is like a place that made an impact on me that we went?
Oh, goodness gracious. I've been able to see my dad in so many different levels on so many different things, But I guess it was somewhere around when I was in my late teens, maybe, I was like, maybe one day when I grow up, I can have a boarding house or something. I can help young kids who don't have a home, who not just need an education and need help and guidance in life, but also need a home, need a place to live. So I used to always think about, maybe I could do that. But growing up, I did have opportunity to travel around with my dad, and one of the biggest impacts, I guess, was when I saw my dad. We were in South Central Los Angeles, and
Okay. When was this? I gotta know.
This was in the early 90s.
Okay.
So like post 91. I only asked because that's when I was born.
Oh no, it was after 91.
Okay.
It was after
Okay.
91.
so early 90s.
Yeah, like early
Okay.
mid 90s.
Okay.
And so we were riding in the limousine down South Central Los Angeles. And, in Los Angeles, they have these huge sidewalks, okay?
Right.
I don't know that, but I believe
I've seen
you.
pictures.
Yeah, they have a huge sidewalk.
Okay.
So there was a lot of homeless people that were like on the ground under, whatever they were under, cardboard,
Right.
or old dirty blankets or whatever. And he told the limousine to stop the car. And so he stopped the car, and Dad kind of like jumped out. So the security guards were like jumping out because they're like, what's going on? So he got out the car, and he's like, come on, Deanna, come on, go with me. Okay, so we got ready to walk across the street, and you could literally see these homeless people like rise up from the ground. It was almost like, and then when they focused their eyes on James Brown, it was almost like they had seen a ghost or something.
Like an otherworldly kind of situation for them.
It was like, are we really seeing James Brown?
That's
Come on
insane.
here? And so he was standing there, and, he was like, hey, brother, talking to him and stuff like that. And, he gave him a little money, whatever he was giving him, $50 bills, $100 bills, whatever. But he told this one young man, he says, listen, take this money, go clean yourself up, go get something to eat, go do something for yourself. And in that moment, it was like, it wasn't about the money. Like, what I realized, it was really just that hope.
Right.
That he was giving. Just for that person, just to be standing there looking at James
Right.
Brown,
That's-
talking to
yeah.
James Brown alone, probably
Nobody
was
believes him.
blowing
Yeah.
blowing their mind, But then he's showing care, concern, and giving them hope.
Right.
And to me, he didn't have to do that.
How old were you?
He did not have to do
I was
that.
in my 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in my 20s. He didn't have
Okay.
to do that.
He was teaching you something there.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that. And like every year for the turkey giveaway when he was doing that.
Right.
It was something that he wanted to do. It wasn't like he was going around and there were big corporations that was doing this and they just put his name on it and he just let them have his name. No.
And
He actually was involved. He didn't mind coming down and giving out turkeys and seeing people.
you mentioned the turkey giveaways. We have to keep in mind that some of our listeners aren't from Augusta and don't know that. Could you explain the turkey giveaway
What's
here in
the
Augusta?
background
In
on that?
91,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
dad started doing the James Brown turkey giveaway. It was something that, I guess it was something that came over him to remember that he was once one of these young kids who didn't have food. And he know that at this point in time, God had truly blessed him. So he wanted to come and give back. And he would always have it right there at Dyas Park on James Brown Boulevard because he grew up in that area. And of course, that was James Brown Boulevard.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where he wanted to come back and give back to where he grew up and where it was hard for him. So he started that, and after he passed, when we created the 501c3 James Brown Family Foundation,
Right.
we adopted
Which,
that.
by
and
the way, we're
continued.
going to get into a lot of the details of that later on as well.
So that's why we continue doing that, because it was something that he started and he believed in, because he remembered those days when there was no food in his home.
Right.
And God had blessed him such to where, he could have as many turkeys as he wanted in his home, but he could also give them away too.
There you go. And that's during Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
So you were born
In New York.
In New York. I'm curious, from this Augusta, Georgia perspective, of course, you have to let us take it here. James Brown, your father, he was from Augusta, Georgia, and obviously,
Right. He was born in.
he's like synonymous with the city at this
right.
point.
He was born in Barnwell County,
Okay.
South Carolina. He was born
Wow.
in Snelling.
That is an
South
upset. I did
Carolina.
not know
Okay.
that.
Can you
Yes.
please repeat that
He
for
was-
everybody at home?
He was born in Snelling, South Carolina, which is
Okay.
Barnwell County.
Okay.
And he grew up in Augusta, Georgia, on Twiggs Street.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So not born from here, but grew up.
Grew up
Yes,
here.
Okay.
yes, yes.
So what is your and after this I think we're going to get into more of like your personal efforts and what you're going into now, but I've got to ask you, when you were growing up, and you did a lot of your growing up, it sounds like in the city of Augusta, what was your impression of the city, especially from the eyes of your father, but also from your own eyes, being born in New York and coming down here to be raised, what was your impression?
You got to understand, at that age, I was very young and sheltered. So
of course. And when was this?
Much.
When was this?
This was in the early 70s.
Okay.
This was in the early 70s. And so you got to understand, I was sheltered. I was homeschooled before I actually went to Augusta Christian.
Wow.
Okay.
Did you have your lessons sung to you? I'm sorry.
No. But you were homeschooled, I'm guessing, because of the travel.
I was homeschooled because my dad just wanted that for me at that age.
Okay.
He wasn't quite ready for me to go to school. So physically to be away, kind of very overprotective.
Okay.
And
that says a lot about him.
Yes.
He cares about you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was homeschooled. My teacher was a German teacher, Miss Turlington. I don't even know if she's still around or alive. The last time I had heard about her, she was working at, at one of the stores on Washington Road. I can't even remember the name of the store, but she was German. She was so sweet, but she was my homeschool teacher.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to Augusta Christian.
Okay. Well, but what was your impression on the city?
Well,
like
I
you
mean,
had to.
I was sheltered. There was no impression.
So your impression was literally it was your home.
My world was different.
Okay,
right.
You know, I was in a different world.
Can you speak to that?
I mean, like first of all, me being homeschooled, and I didn't even go to the first grade. I went straight to the second grade.
They're like, hey, she knows how to read already.
You passed the right test.
I went in and I whatever little test they give, you know.
Right.
It was like
the basic grammar. She was like, yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah. So I give that to the fact that my dad had me homeschooled. So I was there. The homeschooling was the attention was right there just for me. You know, it wasn't a bunch of other students there. So, and it's funny how the last semester of this year, people were homeschooled. Young kids were homeschooled.
Right.
You know, it's kind of rough for the parents, especially if they're working parents, you know. But it's a different kind of teaching these days anyway. The division is different.
Totally different.
We did long division. I don't know what.
I don't know. You can't see me rolling my eyes, but holy crap, you're right.
So my life was sheltered. So I lived in a different world, and then when we traveled, you know, everything was first this, first that. You know what I mean? Private jets.
So you were traveling the world when you were young.
Oh yeah, I mean. Private jets, you know, presidential suites and things like that.
It's incredible.
Limousines.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was my life. Once my mother and my father separated, then it became, you know, different. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up north, that part after my mother and father separated. So I went to high school and college up north. So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What college did you go to? What did you study?
I started business administration and marketing.
Okay.
And I went to Wesley College in Dover, Delaware first, a private college.
Okay.
And then I went to Towson State University.
Dover, Delaware. Interesting.
Dover, Delaware.
I love it. I
went to Wesley College.
But you went up north, and then did you settle in Augusta?
Well,
like did you what happened in between college and then getting back to Augusta?
How did I make it back?
That's the question.
That is the question.
95 South. After you know, going through all of the growing up and college and doing all of that, I mean, I still would see my dad from time to time, even out when he was out on the road, or if I came down here and I traveled and, you know, visited him. But I would still see him. And so once I graduated from college, I went to Bailey's Crossroads, Virginia, and went to radio school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did radio school, and
nobody ever taught us how to do radio.
Yeah, well, you know,
that's why we're doing
the
podcasts.
reason that you had to do it like that, because in those days you had to have a FCC license. You had to have a permit.
Gotcha.
Not a license, but you had to have a permit, an FCC permit,
in
order to be on the air.
Right.
Right. Now it's like
it's totally different.
Totally different now.
Which is
and
why
I was doing
do.
radio when all of that broke down happened. It was like,
Okay.
wow. Because there was a time when you did radio, you had to have your card, your permit up on the board when you were as a board operator.
So you were like a lawyer. You were like, "Hey, look, that's my bar
Not a
right there.
lawyer.
Like I passed the bar."
But yeah, you had to have it in the in the radio studio with
Right.
you. It had to be up on the board because anytime an FCC agent could possibly walk in, and you got to have your card up there to say that you
Wow.
are a licensed, permitted board operator for a radio station.
So you left college and you
we were
started-
considered seriously essential workers because that's how people got their information a lot of times through radio before
Yeah.
they even
Right.
had TV.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's a very good
radio is very important, you know. So this is pre, all that cable craziness that goes on now and truly internet radio.
True. Absolutely.
But so to get to all of that,
Yeah,
basically, Dad was really deep into communications, owning radio stations himself. And so once I graduated, and it was like he wanted to start a radio station, and I was like, okay. So I moved to Atlanta and started in Atlanta first.
Okay.
I was partnering with somebody, and then after that, I ended back down here, and we did some radio here
in the AUG.
in the AU.
Coming up, more on James Brown's worldwide impact and what his foundation is doing in Augusta today.
David, have you ever had Smash Attack?
I didn't know how you were going to start this. Yes. And you mean the beer that is in these new cans from Savannah River Brewery that looks just like Super Smash Bros?
Yes, you said everything I was going to say in the next 5 minutes. So, yes, Smash Attack. Look no further. Savannah River Brewery has an awesome 90s can. It's basically Smash Brothers, and everybody's in hops.
What's so cool that I really like about them is one, so they're putting these new beers out like all the time, which is incredible. And two, they totally know who their audience is when they design their cans.
They know who wants to drink their beer.
They've got their Pilsner that's the no jacket required that was just featured, by the way, on a golf national forum of best beers to drink while playing golf.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. They've got Blanky Kong, which is a worldwide phenomenon, and now they've got Smash, and I haven't mentioned their other 5 flagship beers. They're incredible.
Yeah, we don't need to explain it all. Just check them out. Savannah River Brewery. They're in Augusta, Georgia. Look no further. If you want some good beer, if you want a good experience at a brewery, go to Savannah River Brewery.
So I don't know really what more we can say about this partner that I'm about to talk about, but I'm going to do my best. And that's Partners, The Little Guide to Augusta. The Little Guide to Augusta is awesome. Not only is it this little red book that you can get in restaurants, you can get in boutiques, you can get in service places, you can get in local businesses everywhere. They have this awesome social media that works with us, by the way, and works with other local businesses to help us promote whatever we've got going on. They've got a great team. And by the way, when we signed up to be in the Little Guide, they sent a professional photographer to us free of charge to make us look good. From a business perspective, like the Little Guide to Augusta is awesome. From a citizen perspective, the Little Guide to Augusta is awesome. I see a win-win here. Check it out. Put it on your coffee table.
It's free.
Send it to your family. Turn to page 88 and look at our beautiful faces. We love this partnership, and we hope that you check them out.
And yes, Chris Snapple still regrets the vest.
So you were basically like pioneering radio channels. Like you were starting radio stations.
Yeah, that's basically what we was doing. The last one we had was where the Board of Education sits right now, on the corner of James Brown Boulevard
No
and Broad
way.
Street.
It's a
We
huge
had-
building.
We were right there, and we were we had the downstairs, all the downstairs.
Okay,
basically.
gotcha.
And basically, our concentration was the corner of Broad Street and James Brown Boulevard, and it was a big, huge window that circled that
Oh,
side
that's
of the
awesome.
building. So when you ride or walk down Broad Street, you could see the
Yeah.
jocks inside jocking. That's
Oh, that's
like
cool.
old school.
That's cool,
That's
though.
old school black radio.
Were you
back
doing
in the
that?
day.
Were you were you like scratching and
Well, no, I wasn't a scratching type of DJ, but I did every air shift. I did
Okay.
morning, afternoon, evening. I've done them all.
That's
Night.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
I've
this
done
is
them
all similar to you.
Very.
Going on right
Okay.
now.
Very. My dad used to also own WRDW radio. And
Really?
now the building is gone now. It used to be right over there off of Eisenhower, off near the park.
Gotcha.
But the Nationals bought it now, and so they
As
bought it
tends
for
to
parking,
happen for the
parking.
Nationals.
I think it bought it for parking. That was like where I got my first, I guess you could say, radio bug, broadcasting bug, when my dad owned it, WRDW. It was known for where radio does wonders.
Does WRTW stand for that? Where radio?
When my dad owned the radio station, where radio does wonders. He also owned a radio station.
I never knew that.
This is
That's
new.
when he owned the radio
That's what
station, not
okay.
WRDW, the TV station.
Sure.
The radio station, which is pretty much no longer.
Well, that's like the OG WRDW,
Yeah,
though.
right.
Right.
And he owned a radio station in Nashville, Tennessee, WJBE, James Brown Enterprises.
Okay.
I like
And
this.
Of course.
And he also owned one in Baltimore, Maryland, and this one was WEBB, which stood for We Enjoy Being Black.
Yes. That's awesome.
So he was very into the communications. He was like, it's a powerful
Okay.
tool.
Yeah.
Right.
It is.
And he
It
was absolutely
is.
right.
He has. I do have a question.
Yeah.
So when James Brown was your dad, which is so cool. So I put that on a spectrum of, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia. We have the Augusta National. And you don't know how awesome it is until you travel the world and you wear that that hat. And people in Germany are like, you've been to the Masters? I'm like, I live in Augusta, and then they just go ballistics like, what? That's crazy. Did you know how big your dad was
No.
as a dad?
No.
Really?
And
no.
when did you learn how
Great
big
question,
he was?
Chris. I didn't learn it.
That's
until
what I wanna know.
I was a sophomore in college.
Wow.
At Towson State University.
You played him at one of your parties, and then people were like, oh, yeah. And you were like, that's my dad.
No.
And they were like, whoa.
No, someone else played it. That's how you know he made it.
Yeah.
No, let me tell you, it's really cool that you asked that, because it was just like, he was just dad. You're right.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore in college. Sophomore in college. Was about to do. I was just finishing my sophomore, going in my junior year, and I was in the library doing some research, and so come across encyclopedias and saw the bees, and I was like, let's see what they got on Dad. Surely they got something on Dad. I mean,
Right.
I was used to that by now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay. So I pull out, the encyclopedia for the BROWN, and I find him, and, it's like James Brown, and you have the B with the demographics, May 3rd born, the B
Right,
for born,
yeah.
May 3rd, 1933, Joseph and Susan, giving his, all his bio. And then it was like, later moved to Augusta, married, Dee Dee Jenkins, children, and it listed our names. I saw my name.
Yeah.
You're like, oh crap, I'm famous.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you know what? I'm telling you what I said to myself. I saw my name. I saw me and my brothers and sisters' names in this encyclopedia. So I'm looking in the encyclopedia and I'm reading it, and I'm like starting to look around, like, do they know who I am?
That's crazy.
Really? Like,
Wow.
I'm like, do they know who I am? Yeah, heck yeah, they know who you are.
Right.
Oh.
That's cool.
No, I mean,
That's cool.
I just didn't, like, I knew he was big. I knew he traveled. I knew he was
Right.
an artist.
Yeah.
But to the extent of how big, no. And I even got an even deeper sense after he passed, because of
I'm sure.
all of,
Yeah.
that was thrust on me,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard some things that people would say about my dad, and I'm like, ooh, wow, that's kind of deep, isn't it? Like too deep.
And Deep Copenhagen would go deep with you. He's gotten deep about it.
Yeah, I mean, and people really, that
made
had an
an
effect.
impact.
He made such an impact on people.
Yeah, he really
And
did.
on
He
the
affected
city.
a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know? And I know some people have their thoughts, and he wasn't a perfect man, but none of us are.
Yeah.
And but he still contributed so much to not just this community, but to the world at large. I mean, because you can travel anywhere in the world and you can say James Brown, and you know, they don't even have to.
They'll know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, they know exactly who you're talking about.
You know, Augusta, Georgia likes to throw around Godfather of Soul, and it's easy for people to say, "Yeah, James Brown is from here." But when you say Godfather of Soul in any other city,
Yes.
they also think James Brown.
That's the big deal.
And that's the
like
big
when
deal.
you go to Washington State, or when you go to Canada, or when you even go to, you know, Europe, and you say the same thing, and you're like, oh, I thought we just said that at home.
Right.
Like it's this totally different. Like you were probably in New York, right? Going to college, and you were like, oh, they think this way in New York? Oh, crap. That's real.
That's
real.
He is a household name
So
Absolutely.
all over the world for sure.
So let's go back to you.
Yes.
This
is about you.
Yeah.
I promise. Don't worry. I just had to
ask.
ask that one question.
That was it. By the way,
It's all right.
thank you for asking that,
Yes.
because I did not think of that, and I owe you one.
Well, if my dad was famous, I would want someone to ask me that as well. It would challenge me.
So let's come from this perspective. So right now, you are running the James Brown Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. Tell
Yeah.
us what that is and how that started.
Well, like I said, after he passed away, we realized we wanted to continue the charitable portion of it, which was very important to my dad. So we started the foundation, charitable foundation, and got our 501c3 to be able to do that. To continue the James Brown turkey giveaway, which we do give away hundreds of turkeys each year, and the James Brown toy giveaway. It's going to be different starting this year because the large gatherings we can't do. But
Right.
we are still going to do our part and facilitate turkeys to those who are in need, and toys as well. And we figure, you know, this year is going to be probably a little bit more than normal because
Yeah.
of the situation.
Absolutely.
So we did it to continue that, and then it was another thing. It was like Dad was so into music education. You know, he always talked about how important it was to keep it in the schools. You know, the funding always went to sports. A lot of it didn't go to arts and music. You know, and when there's cuts, it's usually the arts and the music get cut
absolutely,
first.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, he talked about how important it was, and so we just kind of picked that up and kind of started to get into that in the best way we knew how. And in doing so, we created the James Brown Academy of Music Pupils, which was a summer program first, and then
When was all this? When is all this?
2011.
Okay.
In 2011,
okay.
we started it, and then we continued to do it as a year-round program. So it becomes an after-school program, during school year, and then 6 weeks in the summer. And we've done it since 2011, going in our 10th year.
That's awesome.
This is our first year. We have our classes at the Augusta Museum of History. And it's been wonderful because our students have had some awesome opportunities. They've had the opportunity to perform at the Ryan Theater in Nashville, Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
For the Georgia Music Foundation.
Incredible.
They performed with Governor Deal and his wife in the audience, and some other great country artists like Luke Ryan was performing on that show.
Wow.
James Aldean, I think I'm saying it right.
James Aldean, yeah.
Yeah,
Chris
so,
will be the fact checker here.
So these was you know, it was all country artists, but it was Georgia Music Foundation.
That's
so
incredible.
They wanted some, you know, James Brown funk. So
Heck yeah.
the
Who
kids
would
brought
not
it.
want some James Brown funk?
the kids brought
Come
it
on.
for them. So they've had that opportunity. We've traveled to New York, they performed. We've traveled to California, they performed. They've even had that opportunity in 2012 to go out to Chicago. And these students who did that have already graduated. They've already gone through the program because we've been around for 10 years. Some of them have just graduated from college. As a matter of fact, we got 2 of them just graduated from college. But they started in the program when they were like 12 and 13. But they got the opportunity to perform, open up for Prince when he was alive in Chicago.
So you said 12 and 13.
Wow. Prince?
What
No
kind of
way. Hold on. They open up for Prince?
Go ahead,
Yes.
Chris. I know this is cool.
Oh my gosh, that's super cool.
Some of them even got on stage and danced with.
No way.
Yeah.
Gosh. R.I.P.
That's crazy. No, that's crazy.
R.I.P.
So
Prince.
it's just,
That's insane.
I kind of know just a few people. So,
So actually, that brings me to this question.
I try to use that influence, the people that I kind of know, to kind of open up opportunities indoors. We even had a group that got a chance to go to the Lakewood Amphitheater in Atlanta, Georgia one year and meet Def Leppard and check them out. Go backstage and meet Phil Collins.
That is not your style at all,
Phil
but you were just like,
Collins.
these
I
guys
love
are
it.
famous.
Yeah, I mean,
That is awesome.
they were big James Brown fans.
Heck
Yeah.
So,
So I was like, well, look, how about y'all let my kids that are into you all come? They were like, yeah,
I
bring
love
them
it.
on.
Yes.
I love it.
They went.
so have you had any moments where like you met someone and you were like, holy crap. Like a pinch me kind of moment where you met someone you never would have expected to meet?
I mean,
Or you just meet everyone?
I've had some exciting moments. I mean, like, one of my favorite female artists was Natalie Cole, Nat King Cole's daughter.
Yeah.
So when I met her at
Arguably better than him, but anyways.
one evening when we met at the American Music Awards, I believe it was the year that she sang "Unforgettable" as a duet.
Oh my gosh.
with her dad, and I had a chance to meet her, and I was like, "Oh, I just love you." She was like, "Oh, I just love your dad." I was like, "Well, I love your dad too." It was just kind of that banter back and forth,
That's
but it was
awesome.
just kind of cool to meet her, because as a young girl, I just loved Natalie Cole,
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
yeah, I just loved
That's
her. But growing up,
super cool.
But I mean, I've met some really awesome people through the years. I mean, Michael Jackson actually came to Dad's funeral here in Augusta,
Yes,
Georgia.
that was incredible.
and
Seriously.
I think
it was
that
during
might be-
a time when he wasn't really trying to be out in the public. There was
Right.
a lot going on in his life,
Right.
and he wasn't even in the country. He was still in Bahrain, and he was just coming back. Actually, he had just landed in Las Vegas, and it was like a few days later, and he was like, "No, I'm coming." So
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Ooh, you got me there.
Yeah. Seriously.
No, yeah, so I actually had this question, and then we started talking about famous people. My brain got wiped.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
No, I love
it's
it.
You know
okay.
who else I met that was really
Please
cool?
tell me. Please tell me.
I'm sorry.
Please,
I
I
won't go
wanna
there.
know who
No,
else.
Bono
Yes.
from YouTube.
Yes.
Really?
He is so
That
cool.
Was he wearing the
so cool.
Like
sunglasses?
so cool, yeah. Just like so cool. Like sit
And
down.
he was super,
have
like,
a
chill.
Have a drink, cool. Just
Oh,
just
man.
really cool. He came. Dad was performing in Las Vegas after one of those big fights.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the dressing room, and he came, and Dad was like in his own little area and getting himself dressed, and he was just sitting in there chilling with us while we was waiting on Dad to come out of
Wow.
his personal room.
Gosh. And that level is what people need in Augusta to know that James Brown came from.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. I mean, I
the
think
icons.
yes, the
loved
icons.
Loved him.
People in Augusta need to know that James Brown, came from Augusta. Anybody can say, Dave Matthews came from Augusta, but he doesn't talk about it. James Brown talked about Augusta.
Right.
He loved his city.
He did. He did, and he sang about it in this song.
And it wasn't just, and it just wasn't him talking about Augusta. Bono came to hang out with him. Michael Jackson came to his funeral. It's obviously his personality overwhelmed
Yes.
other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it spoke loud. And now we have a podcast with his daughter.
And-
It's
and-
super
and-
cool.
And all this is coming.
and to take it even further, even outside of the whole, United States thing. I mean, I remember the year he went and did a private party at David and Victoria Beckham's home over in England.
Stop it.
My goodness.
Over in
Stop it.
England.
Oh my
the most
gosh.
handsome man in the world.
Over in England. It's like, so I mean, these are the type of people that
Wow.
they go crazy.
Yeah.
Coming up, Deanna takes an insightful look into the world today. And join us as she drops the disc with us. This is the Drop the Disc podcast.
So
Okay.
David, when we started our podcast, you know what would have made it easier?
Literally any help at all.
the Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a place for startup businesses. It's not just technology. It's in the Georgia Cyber Center, but it's not just technology startups. It's anybody that wants to start up a business. And the Clubhouse helps you make it reality.
Well, and the cool thing that I really like is that not only do you have this like incredible resource, which the Clubhouse is this startup that has this Silicon Valley style build where they can really show you what's going on. But not only that, but like if you're just the average person that is interested in networking and interested in learning about Augusta, you can be a member of the Clubhouse and just go to their events, which, by the way, the Clubhouse opened to the public on June 1st. So their events are about to start happening again. And they have these awesome networking events. We're great fans of the young professionals of Augusta. We're members of the Chamber of Commerce. And to me, the Clubhouse kind of just completes that circle.
Right. And when things open back up, 100%, we will be throwing parties at the Clubhouse.
Hopefully, man. Open
That's
bar.
That's the plan.
Open bar.
Open bar. There you go.
Come check it out.
Maybe with a Dirty Girl in Second City.
Which, by the way,
yep. We're here.
We do need to shout out, along with Savannah River Brewery, who, by the way, we cannot thank enough for throughout this time all of their support. And by the way, their continued partnership, because this is not an ending with Savannah River Brewery.
Absolutely not.
But we have made a couple more friends in Augusta. And so now our bar is incredible.
To back it up a little bit.
Yes.
Savannah River Brewery was there before we had a bar.
Right.
We were a mobile
They were there in
site.
my kitchen.
Yes.
They're in my kitchen.
Now we have an actual place, an actual bar to have drinks made.
And people have taken notice.
With a mini fridge underneath that has all Savannah River Brewery beer. However, on top, we now have space to be filled. And David, that's what you were talking about.
That's right. And we now have this incredible Dirty Girl and Second City combination bar going on here. It's awesome to have all these local businesses not only be supporting us, but to be their partners. And hopefully we can talk about how much of this stuff we're going to be drinking over the next few weeks.
This is about you.
Yeah, no,
we need
sure,
to get back to
is.
you. Like
Well,
we've got people listening
can
now.
Tell some pretty cool stories. Look, go to JamesBrownFamilyFDN.org.
Okay.
We also have. We talked about about the turkey and the toy,
Right.
and the program that we have, the music program.
So what's the expanse of the foundation? Tell us about everything you guys do.
Well, also, aside from that, we also have the James Brown Family Historical Tour. Now, we're not doing any tours right now, but we
Right,
are
of
the
course.
only tour in the city of Augusta. It's a bus tour that we take around in the city of Augusta.
Okay.
And it starts at the museum, Augusta Museum of History. It lasts for about an hour and a half, 45 minutes.
There's a
Just
lot
take you
to
different
learn about
places.
him there.
Yeah. And-
It's an incredible experience.
And so the tour takes you around Augusta, different locations where he went to school, where we lived, where he had businesses, and different things like that. And then after that, we come back to the museum, and then you're able to walk through the museum and see the exhibit there. So right now, because of the coronavirus, we're not conducting any tours. We hope to pick it back up soon. But yeah, we're the only ones that are doing tours here in Augusta. And all of that information can be found on our website, JamesBrownFamilyFDN.org. Go
There
ahead.
you go. Yep. And we can also talk about this as if COVID wasn't happening, because people could hear this in years from now.
Oh yeah, they could. I mean, they
and
could plan
this
for
is
next
what's
year.
There you go.
We do a lot of family
Absolutely.
reunions. We do
Yeah.
a lot of groups. I mean, we've had people from all over the world come and take this tour. We've had
That's
people
so
from
cool.
Japan. We've had people from Switzerland, Italy, Germany, London. We've had them come
Just to get James Brown.
They're in the States, and if they're close to Atlanta or this area, they're gonna come. I mean, we
That
had
is so
somebody
cool.
to fly. They flew into Warner. They were in the Warner Robins area because they flew from Washington State to Georgia because they were going to Warner Robins for a wedding, and they realized they were only a couple hours from Augusta, Georgia, where James Brown was from.
You
to take
gotta
this tour.
stop by.
They're like, "Oh, bump that. We're renting a car.
Absolutely.
They
Yes.
came here and
That
they
is so
redirected
cool.
their whole little thing because they were like, "There's no way we're not going to be in the Southeast and not come and get some of this history." I mean, so it's just really amazing. I had 4 little girls, middle school from North Myrtle Beach, come because they're doing their report on James Brown. And they took the tour. The parent brought them down here and
That
took the
is
tour.
awesome. I also saw a TikTok somewhere
I don't do TikTok.
about.
She said, no, you didn't.
It was something relevant to James Brown, and
Okay.
it was their dance moves to a song he did.
Oh, really?
It might have been on his birthday or
Okay.
something.
3 girls?
Yes.
Okay, those girls
You
are
know what I'm talking
Let
about.
It Happen. They are
Yes.
Nora, Rosa, and Yara. They are from the Netherlands. And we did a live virtual tribute on the James Brown Family Foundation. First of all, we're on all platforms except for TikTok. We're on Facebook, IG, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can find the family, the tour, the music school is Where's the Foundation. So we did a live tribute, virtual tribute for my dad since we couldn't have a big major tribute.
Right.
May 3rd. And so
They
we asked
killed
these
it.
young girls
That's
to do
what
a
Chris
dance
saw.
tribute. We asked these young girls to do a dance tribute. And they did it to get on the good foot.
They killed it.
And oh my goodness,
Holy moly.
59 seconds or less. And do you know, can I tell you, we released it May 3rd. Can I tell you that every other day, someone is resharing that, reposting it. Sometimes I've got to hit C translation.
You got a work phone?
Because
You got
I
a
don't
work
even,
phone just
I can't
for
even
that?
read it.
She's not
Every other
lying.
day. It's viral. It
It is
still-
viral.
incredible.
And they are
Yes.
cute girls that are just doing what they love to do
Yes.
to your dad's music.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is viral.
and
it
it's
is
cool
still
knowing
going.
it's cool knowing that Augusta, people don't know him from Augusta, but me being from Augusta, David, anybody, girls in Netherlands
Yes.
are dancing.
And these
to
are
me.
young girls.
I mean,
they're
that's
like
some
12.
perspective.
They're
That's
like
crazy.
12
That-
and 14.
That is a perspective explosion right there.
Yes.
Knowing that someone created music that
Is that incredible?
Changed people's lives.
I mean, if you're getting
Still.
married right now, you're probably going to want Get Up Off of That Thing to play at your wedding. So I have one more question. I'm going to take this to a more somber place. There is a lot going on in the world right now. I mean, we've already mentioned COVID. We haven't mentioned the Black Lives Matter protests. And we haven't mentioned, I mean, I don't even want to bring up murder hornets, which is a whole thing. There's a lot going on in the world right now.
2020 is not the year that everybody was expecting.
No.
So let's get there.
But I do know that you've been using your perspective and your platform to make the biggest difference that you can. And I would like to hear from you as this person. You're running a philanthropy in Augusta. You've been worldwide, but you do worldwide charity, but you're still here in Augusta. I would like to hear from you what you see for the future of this community.
I'd like to see just what it should be. I'd like to see just what it's going to be in heaven. It's going to be all colors. It's going to be all kinds of people, all cultures, all races, and all creeds. So that's what we're going to see in heaven. Those are the souls, the type of the type of souls that you're going to see. It's going to be from all people. And in 1968, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, President Lyndon B. Johnson asked my father to come speak to the masses in Washington, D.C.
Right.
That night he actually performed in Boston, at the Boston Gardens. Every city was burning. Every major city was burning. There was looting. There was all types of things going on, just as you see today. And Boston did not burn that night because he was on TV performing. So you had people that was there at the performance venue, and then there were people that were stayed home so they could see James Brown on television, because that was a big deal in those days, to see a black artist on television.
Mm-hmm.
So it kept people off the streets. So Boston didn't have what Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, what they had, D.C. And when it's years and years and years of oppression, people do get tired. It's like a wound. And it's like if it's a deep wound, when you're trying to clean it out,
It hurts.
it hurts. It's very painful trying to clean out think how deep a wound would be. And you got to put all of the antiseptic and all of that
That's
stuff
the worst
in there.
part, cleaning it out.
Stings.
Yep.
It's painful. And I feel as though that's what's happening now. It's like these wounds that have been so deeply ingrained into the soul of America is being cleaned out. And 2020 was obviously designed to be the year for it to happen. We have nothing to do with that. We don't make the calendar. He does. God does. So this obviously was the season for this to happen. And there's a whole new generation out there. There's this is not the same generation, but it's always a younger generation that stands up, rises up, and makes a difference. And that's what you're seeing now. And the beautiful part about it, it's a basket full of beautiful colors. It's some of everybody.
That's right.
That's the beauty of this. So there's beauty in this. And it is such, I'm gonna speak from a Black mother perspective. It hurts.
Yeah.
It's painful. I'm speaking from a Black wife perspective, a Black daughter perspective. It is hurtful and very painful. But it does help when our white brothers and sisters who see it are not afraid to speak on it and advocate for change. Silence is even harder, is even more of a killer than the actual killing, because you feel as though, well, you can't speak against this and advocate for change, then maybe you agree with it. And that would be in any situation. So I think that when you see the masses of young generations coming together of all cultures and races, to me, that gives us hope. That gives us hope. So I was born. I was in my mother's belly when my dad recorded "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." My mother was in the studio singing in the background.
No way.
I was in her belly. Oh yeah, I'm singing,
there.
but you can't hear me.
That's awesome.
You were there.
I was
That's
there.
awesome.
Ahead of the times.
And this song here will be relevant until the day the Lord comes back.
I
until
agree.
the end of time.
100%.
It will be relevant because we gonna be black till we ain't black no more.
Right.
And he did that song at a time when people needed to feel good about themselves. And it is still relevant for another younger generation. My son, who lives in LA, he's a DJ. He does film, but he's also a DJ as well. And he's been part of the peaceful protest in West Hollywood. And his way of being part of the peaceful protest is to provide music, because music has always been a real intricate part of movements.
Agreed.
Whenever there's a movement,
Music is culture, right?
Is the integral part. So they've got this big flatbed, and they've got all their DJ equipment on the flatbed.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
a dream, honestly.
They're
That's a lot of
riding through
fun.
the streets,
Wow.
and they're stopping at different intersections, and they're playing the music, and he's riding through Beverly Hills and playing
Man.
"Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud," and you've got
everybody
is doing this. Everybody's
You better
doing
tell
this.
him that he's living the dream. You
He
better
is,
tell
he
him.
is. I will
That's
let him
what
know.
I'm talking about.
And so it's like, here's my child wasn't even born when this song came out. I mean, I was just being born,
Right. Yeah.
But it's amazing because our students at the James Brown Academy of Music pupils, they get to learn these social conscious songs because they're important. These are the kind of songs people are not writing about anymore. You know what I mean? They're not writing about raising the conscience of people. So they're important, and it's important for this generation to know, about their history. But again, the future is in their hands. It's in you all's hands. So to see people advocate, to see people come together, that shows that there is hope, in my opinion.
And honestly, like I think, and I think Chris is going to agree with this. I think you're going to strike a chord with everybody that listens to this, because we're talking to the people right now that are involved in their community, that are trying to make a difference, and those are the people that are listening. And so
we've got to respect our elders, because they have come through a time that we won't see.
Right.
But we also got to invest into our future, and that's
Absolutely.
and that's our young folks.
And we have to be all in this together.
All in it
together.
And on that note, now,
Yes.
Chris, I think this is a perfect opportunity.
This is a great segue.
Tie or not.
So we're Drop the Disc podcast. Disgusta. How many times have you heard that word?
Several.
And so we're Drop the Disc. I'm sure you're aware of where we're coming from. We are trying to throw away the shade and shed the good light on Augusta, Georgia. And so Drop the Disc comes in. If someone were to come up to you and talk negatively, disrespectfully about Augusta, Georgia, what would you say to that person?
My father is the late James Brown, the godfather of soul, and he is from Augusta, and he would travel around the world and let everybody know he was from Augusta. Every show he did. He even wrote songs that say, I'm from Augusta. There was a time when I used to play. There was a time, the place I used to come from, Augusta, GA. So if he was proud to say he was from Augusta, and not only did he perform for anybody, he performed for prime ministers, kings and queens and presidents all over the world, and he let them know that he was from Augusta, then I can say it loud. I'm not from Augusta, but I live in Augusta, and I'm proud to be. So, first of all, drop the diss, because when you say I feel good, you got to think about Augusta, Georgia. And how could you not feel good when you are in Augusta, GA? Drop the diss.
I love it. Thank you
That was so
much.
beautiful.
You know what?
I've never had song lyrics quoted in that answer,
and
by
we've
the way.
never had a daughter of a godfather of soul.
Oh, well, yeah.
One and only time.
Goes without saying.
Yes.
To be able to drop those little lyrics, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Deanna Brown, thank you so much. It was
welcome.
incredible talking to you today.
Thank you for having me. And I wish you all the best. I really,
Thank
truly
you.
do.
Well, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Deanna Brown, the James Brown Foundation. They have a school of music for young children. They have a turkey giveaway around Thanksgiving.
Toy giveaway.
They have a toy giveaway.
And
Take it away.
And the James Brown Family Historical Tour. But
Yes.
if you just go to our website, jamesbrownfamilyfdn.org, or if you just go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you will find all of our platforms. We are right there.
jamesbrownfamilyfdn.org. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, thank you for listening. We really hope that you enjoyed this conversation with Deanna Brown. I know Chris and I both did, and it was way more insightful than either of us could have predicted.
Next week, we will be recording with Davis Beeman, who is the commercial side of Blanchard and Calhoun. He will give us more insight on how Augusta will continue to grow post-COVID-19.